Hello.
Hello.
Good morning for me. I don't know what time it is for you.
Good afternoon for me.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm a little bit sleepy, as you can tell from my face.
Couldn't tell anything. Thank you for having me, though.
I am so excited to be here with you. I've been trying to, how long has it been? Like 7 months or something?
Something after Christmas, I think it was, and I saw your message, and somehow it got lost in my inbox, and then I found it again somehow. So here we are.
Yeah, I'm so excited, really. I was just going through your videos again because I have to say straight away, I think it was the universe sending me a sign, finding your videos on TikTok. And
Hmm.
every single one I go through, I was like, yes, it's me. Yes, it's me. Yes, it's me. So I have to have you on the show.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I've definitely surprised that you're not alone in that perspective. A lot of people have resonated with the videos, and it's a very cool thing to see.
All of them, like me.
I got a couple haters, but majority are resonating. Yeah,
Amazing. Amazing. I don't know. It's good to know that I'm not alone in this.
certainly not even close.
Right. So straight away, because I want to introduce you, but obviously there's nobody else that can introduce you better than yourself.
Okay.
So tell us, who are you? I mean, why are you here? I should say that, but like, what do you do? What do you dedicate your gift to?
Hmm. Okay. So my name is Simon. I'm a relationship coach. I've been coaching people for about 4.5 years now, and I love this profession because I believe that connection is a human need, not even just a human want, but a human need. And myself, I've been missing connection a lot in my life based off of past experiences, trauma, attachment, all kinds of things that have gotten in the way of my ability to connect with people. And through the amazing power of coaching, I've gotten to overcome a lot of those things and disappear a lot of those things that allow for, me to be here with my amazing wife and my amazing son. And so much of that just cannot happen because of we all got stuff. Like you said, you resonate with my content. We all got stuff. We all got some stuff we're dragging around that's getting in the way of a new future. And so highly motivated to help people with that.
So you had a coach yourself to get yourself out of those like
Many, yeah.
patterns.
I've been getting coaching for about 11 years. So I've done retreats, I've done one-on-one coaching, group coaching, online courses. Absolutely. I always have a coach in some form or another.
See that's amazing that you say that because obviously I am a coach myself. And that's something that I always say when I work with clients that are coaches. It's like sometimes it seems like, oh, you're a coach, but you need a coach yourself. And it's like, yes. Like it's like a dentist. The dentist needs to have a dentist himself or herself. That's the example that I always say. And it's like there are always an ongoing and an evolving way for us to expand and hold space for other people. And we can't
Mm-hmm.
do it ourselves alone. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing this ourselves.
Yeah, well, the way I see it is no one needs a coach, but if you want to have breakthroughs faster, get a coach. And I've seen the value of coaching myself, being coached, and I just get to have things go faster. I can have what I want faster. And it's like, if you can have that option, why would you not? So that's why I will always have a coach, I think.
Also, it's always like related to relationship for yourself, and now it's something different that you evolved on something on different needs.
Yeah. So right now I have a business coach. And then I'm also working with a coach to basically help me improve my own coaching ability.
Mm-hmm.
So I can
Okay.
become a better coach. Those are the two coaches I have currently. And then last year I was working with a relationship coach in the area of, basically releasing any blocks that I have around my own self-expression, around my own voice. So variety of things. It's always evolving.
What's the biggest pattern that you had to work on to evolve as a person to have an amazing relationship?
I would probably say my anxious attachment style. I would say that is the thing that got most in the way for me for having a deep connected relationship, because uh, I was very good in relationships at the beginning, at creating an attraction, at starting something, creating a spark. And then I would get attached and afraid to mess up or afraid to lose that person. And all of a sudden I'm evaluating, I'm getting a little rigid, I'm getting a little clingy, and then inevitably would push the person away. And that cycle would happen for me, partner after partner after partner, until I was like, oh, wow, maybe it's not them. Maybe I'm the common denominator here, unfortunately.
The moment that you're like, I think it happens as well in Sex and the City, that Carrie goes to the therapist and she's like, do you see that you attract the same type of men? And it's like, do you see the common denominator in all of those men? It's you. It's a
And
problem.
often we don't see that. We don't see that. It's not obvious, right? At the beginning, it's just like, no, it's just a different person, or they were too much this, or they were too much that. And maybe, but if that's the case, we often have very little power over our situation. But when we see it's us, I did a post about this like 2 days ago. I was like, you're the common denominator, but that's not a bad thing. It's actually a great thing, because if you're the problem, you're also the solution.
Yeah.
But if the problem is them, well, you don't really feel like you can do anything about that.
It's funny how the usual thing that you hear is like, oh, I always have attract the same type of man. There are no good men left out there. Yes, there are, baby. And
Very easy to think that. Very easy to think that.
when you say, just for anybody listening, the type, like the anxious attachment that you had, so what does that mean? And then what are the type of attachment there are?
Yeah, so the three main attachment styles are anxious, avoidant, and secure. There's also a subcategory of attachment style, which is called fearful avoidant. And so those are the four main ones. Those three ones stand out mostly. But basically, you want to look at it like a spectrum. Like secure is in the middle. Secure is, I know what I want, but I don't compromise myself for what I want. I know that I have things to work on, but I also know that I hold value, that kind of sweet spot. Whereas anxious is trying to fight to keep people around. And so the fear of anytime there's some sort of disconnection, they move forward, they cling, they get close, they try to control.
Mm-hmm.
If we go to the other side of the spectrum, we've got avoidant. Avoidant is going to be the opposite. As soon as we're intimate, as soon as the connection goes deeper, I want to run. I want to hide. It feels too much to bear.
Okay.
Both the anxious and avoidant are reacting for the same reason. They're afraid of a certain level of intimacy. They just react in different ways. And so the biggest challenge for me and for anyone who has an anxious attachment style is to pause when we're activated or triggered, said another way. We don't want to pause. We want to control. We want to fix. We want to text them. We want to know where they are. We want to figure it out. That's the problem. That's the very thing that's keeping this cycle going. And so the breakthrough to become more secure is for an anxious person to slow down, to pause, to let their second reaction come, because their first one is just based in fear. And for the avoidant, if they want to become more secure, their work is to come to the table. When they have the urge to run, to turn around, to shut down, if they can just stay in the conversation a little bit, that's their win. And if they can do it a little bit more, they can trust themselves a little more in that conversation. And before you know it, they've moved more towards security. But for all of us, it's a moving spectrum. We're not born with it.
Ask you.
Yeah, it absolutely changes. We're not stuck with it, but we do have tendencies.
Okay. But you're not just one type and that's square. Yeah. That's how it is.
That would be so disappointing if that was true. That would be really crappy to know. So no, you can move.
Okay, that is good to know. So the secure one it's a good one. It's not
secure one is the healthiest. We all want to be secure.
Okay.
We all want to be secure. It's a healthy place where you recognize that conflict's necessary. You don't run from it, but you also don't obsess over it. You know, it's the sweet spot. It's the middle. The challenge for people who are avoidant and anxious is we're very attracted to each other. It's like the opposites attract thing. So if imagine like a magnet. So if the avoidant is moving further away and the anxious is moving closer, they kind of work well together because they follow each other, but they have a very dramatic relationship, a very hot and cold relationship. And often secure and avoidant people, often anxious and avoidant people miss the secure people. They don't even notice them because to them, secure looks boring. It doesn't have the flair. It doesn't have the drama. And so often until we get like almost fed up with drama, like tired of it, we won't even make ourselves available for a secure person.
Yeah, I remember like what you said, like I remember there was a moment that it was like you know, the bulb that comes up in your head. And what you said is like the secure always looks boring because of some trauma we are attached to the drama and to the excessive way of feeling his emotions, while the good way is more like stable and calm, and that's a good thing. That's where things can be worked on, can move on, it can be, I don't know the other word that I want to use, but
well, to me, it's the example with coaching. That's everything. Is we have our addictions, and obviously they seem like foolish addictions, whether it's an addiction to stress or an addiction to busy or an addiction to drama. We know logically that's not serving us. But yet for some reason, we find ourselves clinging to those things. We keep saying yes when we want to say no because we just are used to being busy and we can't sit in our own thoughts. Or we keep picking up things that stress us out. We don't want to say no to things that stress us out because we're used to this heightened state of emotion. And so when that's not there, we feel like something's wrong. And so all of this makes sense logically, but that's why to me, the best value is for coaching is to not help people know things. I tell everyone who's starting coaching with me, you're not here to get more knowledge or concepts. You're here to have a discovery, to discover a blind spot, a breakthrough. Because when you have that, your whole world shifts. But if you just learn a couple new things, like when you're reading a book, your world's not going to shift. You'll just have some insights. So it's not that we're lacking knowledge. Everyone I work with is smart people. You're a smart person. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. So it's not that. That's not the problem. It's there's a thing that I can't seem to let go of that I'm stuck to, but I don't even know that I'm stuck to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree completely with you. Like I was saying in one of the latest videos as well that I said, it's like if because of some people that I was working on, that they think that they're coaches and that they need to just, I don't want to continue coaching because I need to study. And I'm like, it's good to study, it's good to get knowledge. But it's like if everybody was a coach or was good at what they did just by reading, we would all be successful coaches. We would all be successful in anything that we did. Even like with a business, like I don't want to take the topic away from relationships, but even like if you think about with a business, it's like some people that want to become a coach. Now that we're talking about it, it's you have whatever you choose as a topic, you have to do the work on yourself before you become that coach. So it doesn't matter how much you study about it, you have to do that. And some coaches go straight into the business and strategy because that's what they think they need to become successful. But then it's like if business strategy marketing was the key, everybody going to study university marketing and business would be highly successful. But it's not that. It's what we do with ourselves that matters the most.
Absolutely. Some of the biggest breakthroughs necessary, whether it's in your business or in your relationships, it always comes back to something personally with us. And often it's something that we didn't think it was. It was like, oh, that little dusty thing in the corner of our minds, that was the access to a new level of income or a new kind of relationship with my mom or whatever it is. But it takes looking, like you said, it's not just logical. It's not just read the book and then you know. We have on my program and my coaching team, we have actually people that work with Love Understood, which is my company.
Mm.
And so we have 2 coaches that work with me. And I was just had a call with them before talking to you, one of our coaches. And she's just getting started with the team. And so she's signing on her first new clients and all these things. And we were saying, because her and I were having a breakdown in communication. I wasn't happy with her level of communication. I wanted more clear communication.
Mm-hmm.
I said, there's nothing wrong. Like, we're never going to get hard on you, but we are going to interrupt some things that don't work. And so I said, when you take this on, as you step into this program with us, all the things that you've been avoiding are going to come to the surface. So just like anybody who chooses to become a coach, all those things that you're not addressing are going to get really loud. And either you're going to address them and transform to the next level, or you won't, and you'll stay where you are. And that's the work of a coach. It's not even the call. It's, what did I do by myself when nobody was looking about my biggest fear that I didn't want to tell anyone about?
Yeah.
It's like, you're not going to see that work, but that's the thing that's going to unearth so much. So I love this. I love this profession. I'm grateful for it, and I just have a blast with it.
But when did you actually decide it's like, this is what I'm gonna do, and then specialize in relationship? I know that you went through your own experience, but when was the breakthrough, or the moment that you're like, I want to do this and I want to specialize in relationships?
Yeah, so I used to be a kinesiologist, so I used to coach people on
Okay.
fitness. I owned a gym in Vancouver, Canada, and so I was working with people for about 7 years doing that. I loved it, but then I started to fall out of love with it, and I noticed people would be doing their personal training sessions with me, and they'd start talking about their love life, or they'd start talking about family, or they'd start talking about their job.
Yeah.
And I started to notice a pattern of people who were exercising to avoid other parts of their life, including people going like, if only I looked this good, then my relationship problem will be solved. I just need a bigger arms, or a 6-pack, or nicer legs, or a bigger butt. And it's like, is that really the thing? Or is that covering up the thing? And often it was just a cover up. Like, it's really, I'm scared to address my insecurities, so I'm going to go to the gym. Now, going to the gym is great. We all should do it. It's healthy, right? You want to be healthy. But if it's coming from a place of, I'm trying to fill this hole in myself, there isn't any amount of miles on a treadmill that are going to fill that hole. Right?
Yeah.
And so as I was falling out of love with that, I decided to leave the gym, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do next. I knew I wanted to coach, but I didn't know really where to start. I didn't really know on what. And for about a year, I was doing nothing. I was like soul searching.
Yeah.
I was going on retreats. I wasn't working. I was like running out of money. I was contemplating like, how long can I do this for? You better get serious, Simon. And then I was talking to a friend about a job opportunity that I was looking for just to make ends meet. I was like, I want to start working. And we were talking about some online business. I can't remember, but I was like, what do you do this? And do you like it? And blah, blah. And he's like, can I ask you a question? Do you really want to do this? And I was like, honestly, no. He's like, well, what do you really want to do? And I said, I want to be a relationship coach. He goes, okay, well, why don't you go do that? And I said, I'm scared. I'm scared I'm not going to be good at it. I'm scared I'm going to be embarrassed. Scared people will judge me. And he goes, well, people are definitely going to judge you. You can count on that. But do you think you could be good at it? And I was like, I think I could. I'm just scared. He goes, okay, well, what's the next step for you to like start this journey? And it was start sharing about relationships online. And so that night I went home and I made a post about relationships, and that was the beginning. And then it was just testing stuff out. I coached people for free for a while, tried to see if I was any good at this thing. I just knew that I love relationships so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I had struggled with them so much. And so when I saw a relationship coach being successful, Mark Groves, I don't know if you know him, he was my first coach that I saw being successful. He's got a page on Instagram called Create the Love.
Okay.
He's got like 1 million followers. And when I saw him doing it, I was like, wow, this is a thing that matters. I feel like it's something I can do. And it looks like it can be a lot of fun. And so that was the beginning. And then it was just trying stuff and failing and having phone calls and people signing up and people not signing up and going from there. And it's evolved quite a bit since then.
How long have you done? 4 years, 4 years and a half, you said, right?
Yeah, I've been taking it seriously for about 4 years. Before that, I was not really taking it seriously. So I had like a year, 2 year break in between the coaching fitness to coaching relationships.
Hold on, there are too many questions coming to my head right now. So the first one was, when you say that you coach about relationships, is there, because do you think that, for example, the relationship, the way they communicate or the way that person is, or the trouble that they have building relationship with a love partnership than with a friendship are different?
I think so. I market myself as a relationship coach. And when I say that, I'm talking about romantic relationships.
Okay.
I'm talking about long-term love.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I kind of trick people because once they sign up to work with me, what we're really working on is the relationship to themselves.
You
Right?
stole my next question.
That's what we're really working on. Because the relationship to other people is often just a mirror of our relationship to ourselves. So if we want a different relationship with our partner, with our mom, with our brother, then there's something to look at here. And that's going to create that new kind of relationship. So I kind of trick people in that aspect. But I believe that that's the case even with business too. There's just something about ourselves. Maybe I don't believe I can make a certain amount of money or work with a certain kind of person or create a certain kind of result. Well, that's in here first.
Exactly. Like one thing that I actually shared the other day on video is that more and more as well nowadays I see that people, there is this craving of looking like, I need this and I need that and I need that and I need that from a partner and I want somebody to support me like that. But it's like, are you that person already? You know, sometimes it's like it's too much on what I'm looking for outside of myself, but you're the first one that doesn't provide those services in relationships. So how can you create and want the perfect partner when you're not the perfect partner yourself?
That is a fantastic question to ask. I think when people ask the question, how do I find my match? It's just the wrong question. It's almost like a silly question to ask. The question should be, how do I make myself into a desirable, fantastic partner, such that I attract what I want? Because that we can go to work on. If we think of it like, how do I find my perfect partner? We just get on the apps or we go to the pumpkin patch or whatever, and you go to the bar and it's like you're hunting for this person. It's like, that's not going to work. You know, and like you just said, okay, let's say they have all these qualities. What makes you think they'd be into you? Exactly. You know, maybe that person you just listed off is looking for something not like you. And so that's where the work becomes. But it's hard to hear that.
Do you? Oh, well, yeah, but it's, I don't know. It's what it is. But do you think, like, I see there is more and more of this attitude nowadays of wanting and expecting more, because there's this fake confidence built about, oh, you're the best, you're this and you're that, and it's like it becomes too much of like an affirmation, positive, guessing up yourself.
Yeah.
But it's all smoke.
Yeah.
You know, I see too many people that follow all these trends of like morning affirmations and this and that. You create this fake believing in that you are the best, but you actually have the same shit underneath going on and the same triggers. But you even worse, because you build this fake confidence that it's blinding even more on your triggers, and you make them like the most beautiful thing about yourself.
I definitely see trends of that. Absolutely. It's kind of like when we're talking about secure, anxious, and avoidant. You're talking about we've gone to one extreme or the other. And so the ones that we see online that are really loud, like you said, is like this inflated sense of confidence. Yeah. Like, I'm the best ever. Like, first of all, it's ridiculous to even say that. Like, the best basketball player in the world wouldn't even say that about himself. And yet
Mhm.
here we are, people walking around like, I'm God's gift to mankind. It's like, you're not. And that's okay that you're not. Right? But then we got these other people who we don't really hear about, who think they're shit, who think they're worthless, who think they're
Mhm.
nothing, which is also not true. And so this is what I'm noticing as trends is just extremism as a whole.
Yeah.
Extreme beating myself up or extreme building myself up. And like you just said, it's not grounded in reality. Like this whole, I'm going to just talk myself into being the best person ever. It's like, that is actually just coming from a compensation.
Exactly.
It's not coming from a real desire. It's coming from, there's something I'm ashamed of that I don't really want to look at. So I'm going to cover it up with positivity or toxic positivity, which is something I see a lot of these days as well.
Mm-hmm. Way too much. When we have all these behavioral patterns that we have that we bring into relationship through your experience, not through what we read or what has been studied, through your experience, how much do you think that those triggers come from our parents or our childhood or what we were shown as kids, the relationship in front of our eyes?
I would guess 99% of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think 99% of the time we're not reacting to what's in front of us. We're reacting to something that looks like something from our past. And so I'll give you an example. The challenge I had with my mom is I always felt like she thought I was weak or dumb or not good enough.
Mm.
Because she would say, don't forget your jacket and don't forget this and make sure you do this and make sure you do that. And so that would come up enough in my head that I'd be like, leave me alone. Do you think I don't know what I'm doing? Like I would just get defensive.
Yeah.
Fast forward to being with my wife. Let's say I'm in a bad mood. I'm a little tired, maybe a little hungry. And my wife goes, make sure you take the recycling out. And I get transported for a millisecond back to being that little kid, being told to don't forget his jacket. And I
Mm.
want to get defensive. I'm not reacting to my wife. My wife's just making sure the house is great. She's saying something necessary and important. But here I am about to react like she's attacking my character. And she's not. So absolutely, I think that's our work.
Yeah.
That's our work. So when you talk about people who are like inflating themselves, trying to make themselves perfect so that they can like appear like there's nothing wrong, that's just covering up a bunch of triggers that are still there, but they're hidden behind all this. I'm a 10 out of 10 and there's nothing for me to improve on, and you should just come and see how great I am.
Exactly. Hold on. Let me see this. Okay. One question that I have that through watching your videos, how do you think you can really let yourself go? I mean, it's beautiful to say, and it's the right thing to do. But then don't you think that sometimes when you start to see somebody or dating or whatever, because of, yes, what happened in the past, because of your fears, it's kind of good to have little walls. And then I'm answering yourself because that means dating slowly and getting to know the person. But how do you make that first step to like letting yourself go? And what do you mean when you say letting yourself go? Yes, be vulnerable. But what does it really mean?
Well, I love that you're formatting the difference between saying it and being it,
Mm.
right? Letting myself go. Am I just saying that or am I actually being it? Right. And I think you talked about trends just a moment ago. I think a lot of us are just saying some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We're not actually being it. And the being is the real magic. Right. But in the social media world that we live in today, people get a big round of applause just for saying some stuff. So
Yeah.
we get kind of addicted to that gratification. So the question is, what is it to really let go? And how do
Mm.
you manage that relationship?
Yes, what does it really mean letting yourself go?
Yeah. So I think when you talk about letting yourself go, you're talking about self-expression. You're talking about being yourself. That's
Mm.
uninhibited,
Okay.
authentic, right? And so if I was to be that way, it's going to take big courage. And I think the myth that a lot of us are walking around is this idea that letting go isn't going to be scary. It's going to be scary no matter what. It's going to be scary. And so rather than trying to make it not scary, I think it's way more valuable to improve our level of courage, to actually be courageous. So what does that actually look like in life? Well, the example I just gave you with my mom and my wife, well, that might look like me going, you know, honey, I just realized I was about to get triggered by you when you said that, because I was feeling like small. I was feeling weak and small, and you just asked me to take out the recycling. My bad. I know that's not what you think of me. I'm going to go do that right now. Me sharing that would be letting go of looking good to my wife, letting go of trying to be, letting go of trying to control the situation.
Mhm.
That's what it looks like in real time. And there's tons of other examples. But I think, like you said, we can kind of get a little loosey-goosey with that term and have no walls, like you're talking about before, like no walls. It's like, is that in alignment? Is that authentic? Or are you just now a new level of extreme? Because that might look like you go out on the first date with someone, you're like, hey, so I want to get married and I want to have kids. And so I want to make sure you're the person for that. And blah, blah, blah. It's like, does that really have authenticity to it? Is that an integrity for you? Or are you now just operating from fear, but from a different direction?
Yeah.
You know? And that's why my coaching is called Love Over Fear, because I believe every choice we make is either from love or from fear. And so what we're looking to do and train people is trying to distinguish, where's this coming from? Because sometimes it looks like it's coming from love. Like the example I just gave, I feel like I'm just coming from like loving my future and wanting to have a great, clear future. It's like, are you sure? Let's look at that. Or are you coming from a scarcity mindset that you're worried you're not going to get what you want? So now you have to be really strict when you date, thus not being someone who's very fun to date. Right?
Yeah.
Now that's hard to see at first, because at first maybe it looks like I'm just being intentional. So it's not obvious, this stuff, right? Like you said,
I was laughing when you said that, because I remember it was a conversation with a friend actually, and she said that it's like from the first date you have to be clear and say what you want, and say that you're looking for a serious relationship and blah blah blah. I was like, do you think that's healthy? And she was like, yeah, because you have to be straightforward. I don't want to waste any time. I'm like, what if the first date the person would say that to you? She's like,
great question.
and then she was like, that's a little bit forward. I'm like, I mean, you just met this person.
Great question. Yeah.
I don't know. It's a little bit aggressive. It's a little bit insecure. And then that just saw it in a different way. And it was like, it's not about, you can want that from the first date. You don't have to put like manifest out to let everybody knows. Sometimes
Yeah, very good.
it's
Right?
like,
You can focus on
the way that you behave, the way that you bring yourself to the dates already shows the level of seriousness that you are, or you're looking for, by the question that you ask is like. And I think what really fucked up a little bit women, I don't know if you read the book and there is the film. Oh my god, what was it? It's not what women want. It's like, act like a lady, think like a man.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
I used to, you have to watch it. Like you have to read the book, but watch. Like the film, the movie, it's all about the book, but they show, it's Steve Waugh, I don't remember the author. There's like a TV presenter, big one in US. It's basically, you see that he's promoting it on TV and people buy it, and it's actually think like a lady, like, act like a lady, think like a man. And for me, that's really unhealthy. Well,
what's the premise? What's the idea? Like,
so every single man is put in a box. It's either the player, the man boy, the working. So it's really like classified into like, it's not really that rigid and strict. But then You had to act like a lady and you have to do all these games to get what you want. The one that want to get married, she has to play all these games. And it's like, do you really want to be in a relationship that you have to play games to have what you want? And for me, and that when it came out, it was really huge. And then people were like, yes, I'm gonna see. And then I have people say, oh, I recognize him, he's a player. Yeah, but he might be a player, but
Might
maybe
be.
it's like a defensive reaction that is the way that he's protecting himself, or so many things. But that fucked up women's mind when it came out, that was from a man perspective of like, you have to give 90 days probation like a job.
All these rules. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
I
let me ask
know
you, I'm
some
curious.
amazing relationships that came out that they slept together the first date and they like happily married. It's like, it's not that.
And so let me ask you, because obviously things like that people are drawn to. So
I
there's
mean, I
people,
was, I was
you want, very
guilty.
good. So what is it you think that attracts people to movies like that or content like that?
Well, the insecurity, I think the insecurity of not wanting, knowing who they are or what they want. So they need to get some strategy.
Yeah, well, I think they're definitely looking for a strategy. I think it is completely fear-based.
Mm.
It's like, to me, like when in relationships, we always know there's something to say that we're scared to say. And we say everything but that thing.
Yeah.
Right? We find every way around what the real thing is we want to say. And I think movies like that and content like that are my way around being courageous. I'm trying to skip it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to put people in boxes. I'm trying to figure out what's the right amount of time before we sleep together. And I get these questions all the time. Like it's just everywhere in my feed of like, what does it mean when they do this? What, and they're looking for a template. Now, the template you're looking for is just because you're scared and you're trying to protect yourself from being hurt.
Yeah.
That to me is the absolute wrong way of going about this. Because here's the thing about love: vulnerability is required for love. So if you skip that, you skip love.
Yeah.
And then you're wondering, why didn't I, there's no spark? Why don't I love him? Why don't I like her? It's like, well, you're skipping the very thing necessary to create the connection. A connection might be available for you two, but until you share the thing you're scared to share, that's the doorway to the connection. Without that, it's just two people trying to make sure they don't get hurt and look good, which I think mostly is what's going on.
Yes. Exactly. Like I'm thinking about myself. For
Well,
example.
it's all human. It's human. It's all of us.
Yeah, no, it was like that because like I had, when you got this realization, it's like I'm not looking for anything right now. And then I'm like, okay, I'm the problem because I keep attracting the same. For me, it was mind blowing and so difficult to accept that I always attracted the people with commitment issues until I had a coach and I realized the commitment issues, I had them, right? The fear of whatever it was, the commitment issues. So my subconscious was attracting people with commitment issues. So I would never get too attached to them because they would fly away and I could blame them without looking at the real problem within myself. And that was
So,
so mind-blowing because sometimes it's so difficult to accept something that you don't like.
yeah.
But when you do that is when you free yourself. And for me, then I started talking to somebody else not long ago. And I was like, hold on a second. And I'm starting having some triggers. I'm like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready
Yeah.
to put me and another person in this situation.
Yeah.
The problem is that sometimes when you're too honest and too vulnerable, I was like, look, I'm going through this. I need to work on myself. I'm still not ready to be with somebody else because my shit, I'm not bringing it to the other person. That person keeps wanting you because you're so honest and so real that it's like, I like this person. She knows what she wants. And that's maybe there is the part of like, no, I don't want to hurt you. Stay away from me.
Well, that's a breakthrough for you to be able to be willing to see that, to be willing to see that you're the common denominator. Like that's a huge breakthrough for everybody. Whenever we get to that point, now we've opened up a whole new level of possibilities. So big, bravo to you for seeing that. And the next step is, what do I get out of repeating this? Because whenever I ask people this question, they think they get nothing. They're like, I get screwed, I get hurt. And it's like, yeah, maybe, but you also get something that you're kind of addicted to. Otherwise, you'd stop it. So what do you get out of it? And then you often look deeper. It's like, okay, well, if I go for people who don't commit, like you just said, well, then I don't have to commit. Oh, okay, shit.
I call
And I
that
wanna
existential kink.
The what?
The existential kink. It's
Existential
the
kink.
things that you like, those things that you don't want to admit because they seem bad in society, whatever, but you get some pleasure out of it.
So great to know what those are.
Yeah.
Because now you know what it's really coming from. Oh, I'm just going after my existential kink versus I'm pretending I want to commit. Oh, are you sure? Or is it you just want to do this thing instead?
Exactly. But why another question that really interested me was, you said in one of your amazing videos that it's not healthy that somebody remains friends with an ex.
Mm-hmm.
Which I personally always thought that. But why do you think?
Yeah, so for me, it's not a hard and fast rule. I think you can remain friends with an ex. I think the way that a lot of people do it these days lacks boundaries.
Okay.
Like, to me, if you just had a breakup, staying friends with that person, like the classic, oh, I don't think we're a match, but we should stay friends. I think that's a terrible idea. I think it'd be much more valuable to get through the breakup and then be friends later if you wanted to. But the problem is you're playing with fire, especially if you're the one being broken up with.
Yeah.
If they're the one doing the breaking, they might have already moved on. But if you're the one being broken up with and you want to be friends with them, you're literally just tempting yourself. You're an alcoholic standing at the bar. It's just not a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's a great bar and it's a great drink, it's not a great idea. And so if you can remove yourself from that, you're going to set yourself up for the next relationship in a way healthier way. And also, whoever you date next, unless those boundaries are super clear, that might rub them the wrong way also. And so I think for me, it's more a matter of boundaries than a hard and fast rule of you shouldn't be friends with your ex. Like, for example, there's people I've dated that I'm still friends with, but I would call them more acquaintances. They're not like my best friends or anything like that. And so when I was dating someone seriously after them, and maybe they would send a message over text and maybe it's got an emoji on it, like a heart or a kiss face, I would cut that out. I would say, hey, care about you, but you can't send me messages like that. It's not okay. Most people don't do that because they like the attention.
Exactly.
And I've even had people who would do that to me go, whoa, why are you being so like rigid about it? I'm like, hey, I care about you, but this is number one over here. And so I'll protect this over that any day of the week. And that's where I think it gets cloudy. We're like, no big deal. And it's like, really? But you touch them on the leg the way you touch me and the way you talk to them. And all of a sudden it's like, your partner's got to feel like the most important person in your life. And if they don't, that's not a them problem. Especially if there's an ex hanging around. So I just look at it more like, yeah, you could maybe get away with it, but just get out of, you're an alcoholic, leave the bar.
I mean, this is such a soft spot for me because the few little relationship that I had in my life, the ex was always there. And it was always with the one with the priority because he was a friend from a long time. I learned my lesson.
I get it though. It's complicated, right? It does feel like it's hard to see. Because like you said, someone you know for a long time, it's like, and then you're dating someone you just met, where do they fit in your life? And as someone now married with a child, like it's just so clear where my priorities are. And when your priorities are clear, everything else gets so much more clear. Like it works. But so many of us are thinking that that's going to be, I'm going to lose my freedom. It's the opposite. You're going to be so much more free because we think if we have like endless options, I'm free. It's like, no, you just are kind of involved in a bunch of things. When you get fully involved in a thing, oh my gosh, the fulfillment, the experience is so much better. And that's something I'm looking to, I want to make this a trend, that long-term relationships are not shackles. They're wonderful. They're freeing. They're enhancing your life. But I think a big portion of people think it means your life goes downhill from there. And I think
But
that's,
that, I think that's because there's the problem at the beginning of the relationship. It's what I see. Like for me, I'm not suffering because I know what I want. I'm 37 years old. My longest relationship was 6 months. I don't have kids. I don't have partners, but I know that I'm working on myself because I know the type of relationship that I want to have. But I see so many people that they either run into it because they're running out of time, or because it's the right thing to do. For example, in my hometown, it's like go to school, then go to university, then find a partner, then have kids, then buy a house. Okay, I ticked all of that. Now where am I? And then there is the struggle and then the divorce, and I think that there's this problem of seeing long-term relationship as something bad, and then you lose your freedom because there is not the work to be done on the single individual that goes into the relationship first. And these relationships are created with the wrong intentions.
I think the intention part, you're bang on. That's where it comes from. Like you just said, if I'm dating you because I'm running out of time, that's going to be very different than if I'm dating you because I like you.
Exactly. As that.
Right?
Because I don't want to be alone, or because I need to have kids, or because I need to share expenses because life is not cheap. Anything that comes from it, then sooner or later the beautiful sparkle at the beginning goes away. And then
you can want those things. You can want to share expenses and you can want to have kids. But if it's coming from a place of like trying to fix, then it's kind of like a accident waiting to happen. Like you said, that then fast forward to the divorce, 8 years later, when you realize you sold out on yourself because of you said yes to things you want to say no to. So this is where again it's kind of complex. It's not always obvious of where we're coming from, all of us. That's why I love that's why I have a coach right now. I'll never not have a coach because I know I get confused. I get stuck in my shit. And I just don't want to be led by the past. I want to be led by the future I want to create. And it's not always clear.
I mean, that's pretty easy. If we look at like quantum physics and an explanation of past, present, and future, like what we have is the present. And then if these moments right now is creating our future. So if you live in present through the past, you keep creating this so it's like if I stay here and I keep with the same triggers and I keep with the same fears that are coming from the past that doesn't exist anymore, I'm just bringing everything into reality. And it's like, I think it's the same example that you said at the beginning. It's just stop for a second and observe and see. And when you stop, then you observe things and you can change them and not dragging everything with you.
That's exactly like that. Literally is like I'm dragging like all my stuff with me to the next way. And like, do you love me? And then it's like, well, not with all that stuff you're carrying.
For me, like I don't want to run out of time because it's almost an hour. But another thing that for me is really was interesting, and I see many people do that, is like because you've been either cheated on or you're very insecure about this, you want the other person. You have to make me sure about this. You have to help me through this because I've been cheated on before. You have to make me believe that I can believe in you.
Yeah.
No. Get over your shit, get over your fears, get over the trauma that the thing caused you. And then for me, as soon as you're in a relationship, as soon as there are things that make you believe that, you decide, am I in or out? Do I talk about it or do I don't?
That's a tough one because like you said, people have been cheated on, that might be a huge scar there. You know, maybe they saw their whole future with that person. And then just in a moment, it gets wiped away. It leaves this scar. Now, the challenge, like you just said, is then they drag that into the next relationship, expecting the next person to prove to them why they're trustworthy. And that's not going to work because you haven't resolved the thing from the past. You're just dragging the past onto the next person. And so I'll give you like a brief example for me. When I was in university, it was my first girlfriend we were dating. And I really liked her. Things are going well. And then I started to get insecure. And I started to wonder if other guys were talking to her. And then I think we were out somewhere and I just like wasn't looking at her phone, but my eyes caught her phone and I saw some emojis that looked more intimate than friendly. And now all of a sudden my jealousy is spiking up and I'm getting nervous. And I knew I shouldn't have done this, but she left to go do something and I looked in her phone. And I was like, and I knew it's one of those, it's like you're eating, it's like a drug, right? I'm eating the candy I know I'm not supposed to. And I'm like, why am I doing this? And then it's like, but I want to know. And so I read through her phone and I read these messages. And it wasn't really anything harmless or harmful, but there was like a guy talking to her in a way that he probably wouldn't talk if I was standing next to her. And so then I brought it up with her. And of course, I was waiting for her to defend herself, but she said, how dare you look at my phone? You don't get to break my privacy of that, no matter what you think I'm doing or not doing. And now I'm feeling 10 times worse because I know that's true. I know I broke her privacy. And then for the next few months, I'm trying to earn back her trust, trying to do the right thing and be gentleman and do nice things. And nothing's working. She's still grabbing her phone as soon as she leaves the room. She's still nervous that I'm going to somehow break the rule. And then we came to a place where I said to her, I was like, listen, I get it. I messed up. I betrayed your trust. I did. You're absolutely right. And I also think there's nothing else I can do to prove to you to trust me. I think no matter what, it's going to be scary. It's going to be a risk for you. And I'm sorry that I put this risk in front of us. I know I did that. And I know you're the only one to take it away at this point. I've been doing work to show you, but it's kind of like there's nothing else I can show you. And I said to her, I was like, the only way that we're gonna get through this is if you literally leave your phone in the room, walk away, and trust that I'm not gonna fuck with it. And she knew it. She could see it in her eyes. She's like, yeah, I know. I'm mad at you. I'm mad at you that we're in this position. And I was like, I get it. And I invite you to take this risk. Are you up for it? And she did. And I never looked at her phone ever again. And then all of a sudden the trust was rebuilt in that moment. But like you just said, it took big courage from her to take that risk combined with me working at it. But I think what your point you're trying to make is people want to not take the risk ever again. And that's not going to work. Because like we stated at the beginning of this conversation, there is no love without vulnerability. And that's their act of vulnerability. Okay, I've been cheated on and I'm going to be intimate with you, or I'm going to trust you away at another city when I'm not there, whatever it is. Scary stuff. I get it.
But like that put a trigger on me right now of the story because the same thing happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a but here.
Mm-hmm.
When I felt called to look at the phone is because my intuition was telling me that there's something I was gonna find.
Mm-hmm.
And I found it.
Mm-hmm.
Like he literally was with somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So in this, I obviously the same response from him was like shouting because I looked at the phone, but it was a guilty part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's true not to cross boundaries and look at privacy, but sometimes the pull to do that is because there is an intuition inside of yourself that is telling you you're gonna free yourself.
Yeah. There's something telling you to do that action. Now that I don't believe is the appropriate action. That again, they're scared and I'm scared. That's why I'm looking through the phone. Well, what am I scared of? I'm scared to confront her about it. So I'm being a little sneaky.
Yeah.
Same for you. It's like something's telling me there's something off about this relationship. And rather than having the conversation and setting a boundary, I'm going to look at the phone.
Yeah.
So if I would go back and do it again, and what I would do now is I would go, hey, I know this guy. I know you think he's harmless. The way he's talking to you, I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with that. So I ask that you interrupt that with him, that we create a clear line. That would be out of, and she could say yes or she could say no. Let's say she says, no, don't worry about it. He's just a friend. This is where the friends with exes things comes into play. I'm going to say, okay, well, guess what? That doesn't work for me. And this kind of relationship doesn't work for me.
Yeah, it's exactly
Right.
that. It's just
But
like, that's the thing of relationship, is like, if you ask for something and the person doesn't give you what you want, it's your space to say, do I want this or do I not want this?
exactly.
Not trying to change the other person. When you know who you are, it's like, okay, this is what I have in front of me. Do I want it? Do I not want it?
And a
That's
secure person can do that a lot easier than someone who's avoidant or anxious.
Yeah.
That's why becoming secure is so valuable, because you'll be able to see that.
It's funny because the last person that was going out, he was a psychologist, and he told me that I had avoidance attachment.
Yeah.
And then he ghosted me. So it was funny because this is my last example, because I was so like not getting into dating because I was so hurt and so fearful.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
avoiding everything. I was like, I'm not ready, I'm not ready, I'm too hurt, I'm too hurt. And then this person created a safe space.
Yeah.
And it was like one of the things that he said, like running. And I was like, I want to go slowly with this, and started analyzing me. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you're too afraid, you're too this, you're too that. Fuck shit, yes, I am. And then this person going so fast and wanting everything. In the moment that I opened up, he ghosted me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because, sorry?
I was going to say, reaffirming your fears that were there before, right?
Yes, but then what people like the work on themselves, as you said, like work on yourself, not on the situation on the outside of yourself.
Yes.
Like for me, would have been like, I should have trusted myself from the beginning, and knowing that this going too fast from him wasn't healthy. Right? I should have trusted my feelings of putting myself first and not opening because somebody required me and I needed to do it to be liked. You know,
And
it
that's a
was
big,
all on me.
that's such a big deal. I mean, you say that so beautifully. And I just want to like say to your audience and anyone who's listening to this, it's a huge deal to like someone and want something with someone, but be not okay with how it's going and interrupt that. That is takes big guts. It takes big, big guts. So for anybody who's out there, yourself included, who didn't interrupt what they wanted to interrupt, have some compassion for yourself also. Because that's not a small thing. It's a huge deal. And I think we want to marry the intentionality, the growth you're talking about, with this level of compassion and understanding that we're taking on some big deal stuff that maybe we've never been taught, maybe we've never actually done in real life. And so we deserve a little grace as we go through it as well.
A lot. I always say, become your best friend. You would never say to your best friend, you're an idiot, you're this, you're that. You're like, you just help your best friend to feel better about herself, to stand up on her feet again, compassionate. So treat yourself like your best friend, not like the worst mistake that happened in this life, or beating yourself up after you've been beaten up by another life experience.
It's a beautiful filter to put things through. If I was my best friend, would I say this about myself? And almost always the answer would be no.
I mean, I'm talking like this, but then it's not always like this for me. So we all humans, as you said, we all humans, so we have all our shit to come through.
Yeah.
1 hour is gone. What is the best after all this conversation? And I'm sorry we didn't go through my vulnerability, that I always want to bring my vulnerability to these shows, but we did through our experiences. What is the biggest advice for somebody to start in this journey of creating a healthy relationship?
I'll give two. First thing is everything you want starts from inside of yourself. So whatever you want to create in your life, look inward rather than outward. That'd be the first thing. The second thing, don't do it by yourself. Get a coach, get a therapist, get a counselor, whatever you like to do. One of the most dangerous things we can do is hang out in our own heads. Our heads are poisoned. We got client. I did a group call this morning, and someone on the call said, "Okay, I'll think about this." And I said, "Don't think about it. You thinking about it is the problem. You've been thinking about things for years. Act on it. Yeah. Get out of your head. Speak it. That's where life is happening. No life is happening in our head. But that's the thing that tortures us the most. Depression, suicide, those aren't diseases of the body. They're of our mind, right? And so if we can get out of our head, then we're on our way. And so those would be my two things to take away. And have compassion. You're doing a better job than you think. You know, like, you're doing better than you think.
I always say our mind is our bully. And sometimes you have to be like, shut up for a second and just get your body. Because our body tells everything. When you meet somebody, your body tells you if it's good or not. It tells you everything.
Well, that's where intuition is, right?
Fall in love with the potential, maybe this could work, but shush. Your body's telling you.
You got it. You got to be here now. Our bodies are amazing at recognizing. Intuition is in the body. It's not in the head.
Exactly. And I would love to go on with this conversation because they're really so interesting, but time is precious, even if it's not real. How can people reach you and work with you? What are your offers? How can they work with you?
Thank you so much for asking. Yeah, so you met me on TikTok, obviously. So I got my TikTok, and you can leave the links there. I got my Instagram, which is simon.nicholas. Spelled Nicolas. You can check out my website, which is loveunderstood.com. I offer a variety of different programs. I'm actually doing a men's group for the first time this week.
Wow.
That's actually going to be free for a little while. It's to celebrate, celebrate might not be the right word, to honor someone who killed himself, who was a teammate of mine in basketball a number of years ago. And I just think that there's just people dying unnecessarily from stuff like this. And so I decided to start that. I also offer different programs. I got coaches that work with me, variety of price points. So the best way to find out how to work with me is to apply for a discovery call with my team, and they'll give you all the details that fit what you're dealing with.
Awesome. Well, Simon, this was the best way to start my day today.
I'm so glad. I love it. We're talking about relationships. We're in the same kind of work and trying to make a difference with people, and it's a lot of fun. It's a great conversation to have.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for reaching out, because I know that you must be so busy, but we finally made it. And
thank you very much. It's a real privilege to be on with you, and you're doing such important work, and I can't do this work by myself. I celebrate every coach that wants to make a difference for people, because I know what it takes to look in the mirror and be scared and to lean in. Like it's the ripple effects are very important. So I just, really appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you so much. I wish you a good Wednesday, and then I'll see you on the net.
See you on the net.
Maybe probably someday I will be your client as well, because I have a lot of work to do on that side.
All are welcome. All are welcome. Thank you so much, Verena. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for watching this episode and getting till the end. If you're here, it means that this really was helpful for you. And that makes me so happy, because what I'm doing with this channel is to bring you anything and every tool possible to make you understand and give you like an umbrella of anything that you can need to really connect to yourself, to your authenticity, to get to know you from the deeper side of your spirit. Because it's not just about the creation of programming that's been given to you. Is just about getting out of it and really connected to your uniqueness, because you're unique. Each one of us, we're part of the same, but each one of us has got uniqueness to bring into this world, and this is why you're here.
if you are going through your own personal journey and you want to connect really to your authenticity, you want to stop and getting out of your head and your sabotaging mechanism that you have, or eliminating the fears, or being scared of people judgment and always block you, or anything that you feel that is going to be pulling you back, and every time you feel to do 2 steps forward and you do 4 steps backwards, then the Spiritually Badass Rockstar is the coaching program for you. And I'm opening spaces up for one-on-one, and just remember, I don't accept many people, and this is true. And soon maybe I will close the doors. But go to www.spirituallybadassrockstar.com. It's a program that helps you to transform, really from the inside out. I don't help you to create your life, I help you to create yourself, and by doing that, you really attract the life that you desire to you, because you are energy, and whatever energy you have inside of yourself is what you attract and project on the outside of you. So we will work together to really help you to connect to loving yourself for real, understanding how to put boundaries in your life without feeling guilty, without feeling that you're missing out on something, and especially really finding that confidence inside of yourself and connect to your spirit, to knowing who you are. And by that, once you know who you are and you feel good inside of yourself, everything by magic transform on the outside of yourself. And I'm here for you to help you to do this, because I did it myself. And I'm here now, and I couldn't be happier. So I said so. If you like this, support this channel, because it's auto-supportive. Subscribe to this channel if you like this video, if you like this episode. Just share with your friends, with anybody that can think that could be helpful for them. And don't forget to press the like button. And I'll see you next time.